Hi, beautiful friends. How is the weekend going? As for me, today is the first week of quarantine, and then by this time next week, I will be in Adelaide with my kids. So I'm really looking forward to that because I haven't seen them for like 5 months. Now, as you can see, I've got my favorite PNG head back to front. That's because I just got back into the room from a brief moment of fresh air up on the rooftop of this building. So I hope that you don't mind my dress code tonight. Now, as usual, before we get into the theme on the Crisis Journey series for today, let me just introduce you to the jewelry I have on here. So this necklace is made from seashells and it's knitted on these strong strings so that it doesn't fall off. It's nice and firm and beautiful. And then I've also got my favorite seashell earrings. In fact, this set is my favorite out of all the ones that I have. I'm not encouraging you to buy this set, but please do promote the products from my social media platform and also place your own orders because you won't be disappointed. And in that way, we can promote our local arts and jewelry and at the same time support our local arts and craftsmen and women to generate some income for themselves, right? So thanks so much for doing that. Now, for the crisis journey theme for today, in fact, I got into some serious writing today, so I didn't spare a moment to think about what I was going to share with you. But guess what? We have got lots of things to talk about, and it's only when we begin to talk that our horizons expand a bit. I mean, that's what I found. So there's so many things that we can talk about. Now, I thought that we should talk about the pandemic, the coronavirus. Even though I'm here in Australia, I'm listening to the mainstream media and social media and looking at all the conspiracy theories and the epidemic, hitting the top OECD countries. And there's so much happening around the world. And the thing that I've realized is that we are actually affected in one way or another because technology and information has brought the world closer together, and our globe has become much smaller than what it was in the 19th or 18th century, and therefore we are affected in one way or another in terms of the economic space or the political space or even employment and education. Things are getting tougher these days, and it's making us to open our eyes and look at things differently, and we need to start looking at things differently and seriously. So that's why I reckon we should talk about coronavirus. There are two things that I wanted to touch. The first thing is the name COVID-19. Now, you know how the medical science community relate names of viruses or bacteria or diseases or drugs to the inventors or the geographical location where the virus or the disease was first identified. Now, with coronavirus, COVID-19 was actually invented in that sense. So the corona is the name of the virus, and it was first detected in China in 2019. So when the virus actually spread across the globe, the name became COVID-19 to interpret CO for corona, the name of the virus, VI for virus or the viral, and then D for disease. So COVID actually represents coronavirus disease, and the 19 represents the 2019. So that virus, coronavirus or COVID-19, was first detected in China in December of 2019, which isn't a long time ago, as you can see. So I don't blame you. You'll think that I'm stupid because I should have known that earlier, but the name hasn't caught my attention until now. I was doing some reading and stuff, and I came across to that, so I'm just sharing with you. I'm sure you knew that already, but just sharing. Now, the second thing that I wanted to talk about with regards to the pandemic is in relation to what Dr. Pili Mapira was writing on social media on Facebook today. Basically, she's saying that in Papua New Guinea, the number of cases is quite surprising because apart from the first expert single case that we have had and repatriated back to Australia, apart from that, we haven't had any Papua New Guineans testing positive. Now, there could be so many factors associated to this. One thing could be that our testing facilities are not really resourced. As far as I know, we have testing facilities in our major hospitals like IMR at Goroka, which is basically a research institution, and then Port Moresby and Lae and Mount Hagen and all these like the main centers. So you would expect people to be getting sick or dying without being tested of the virus. That could be one contributing factor why we haven't actually had the figures, had the numbers to say that we had this number of people testing positive or getting into mortality and morbidity. The second factor is that, as you know, our population demographic is a young population. So out of the 8.5 million people we have, maturity, for example, maturity like 75% of the population is young people between the ages of 12 to 25 years, which means that we don't have a lot of old people like beyond 60 because our life expectancy is pretty short compared to the developed countries like Australia and the US. So if you look at the statistics, there's a lot of deaths in the OECD countries. Generally, at the global level, I think there's 7.2 or something million cases registered. And there have been, I think, almost 250,000 deaths recorded so far. Half of a million deaths. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Half of a million deaths recorded so far. That's worldwide. Now, as you can see, the population pyramid in the developed countries, they have a lot of elderly. The elderly population actually is higher than the young generation. So I would imagine that most of these mortality cases are elderly people. So do you see, when you weigh the age gap, we have more young generation compared to the developed countries, so more deaths could be the elderly population. However, the miracle with the PNG situation is that, as you know, our living condition is really poor, which means that we live in little huts, in communities, or in settlements. There's so many people that's sleeping in one bed or in one room. Our hygiene isn't that good. We're not hygiene conscious when we are preparing and serving food because of lack of water or utensils. We chew boy and we spit anywhere. And of course, we are social animals. So we hug and we shake hands and we contact, and we don't care about any cautious or any precautions. We just have no strangers in our streets or our neighborhood. So if the pandemic was at its worst in PNG, our population would be wiped out because of the way that we live our lives. But can you see Having no cases registered so far, while people are dying all over the world, and people are getting sick all over the world, and governments are shutting down their businesses and economic and policy and politics and everything, we're just carrying on with life as if nothing is happening. And I agree with Dr. Pilima Pira that we have been protected by a supernatural intervention. We have been protected by God. So we should be grateful, and we should all the more keep on believing and keep on praying for our families, for our children, our communities, and also for the world. In this day and age, God is indeed trying to teach humankind something and maybe learn something from us. So, in that way, we should shine our light brighter and tell our testimony louder and be proud of what we believe in. We should be proud that we are people who believe in a God who is a God of the impossibilities, and we should be grateful. So I just want to thank you for listening to this vlog, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that these stories can become popular. And please put a thumbs up and also give me feedback. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the other side, and love you all. Bye.